everyone and welcome! Today we'll talk about some news, but we'll also do Q&A. For those of you that follow me on my social media, you may have noticed that I opened a Q&A channel on my Discord, and there you guys ask me questions. But before that, I need to cover the new things that are happening on my channel. Some of you may have noticed that a new channel popped up in the related channel window on my channel page. Yes, that is my second channel, and I am not entirely sure what I will use it for. It could be a League gameplay, it could be Overwatch, or it could be IRL stuff, as I promised. One thing is certain though, I will probably not upload there that often. It is more like a second dump channel for all the videos that wouldn't make it on my main channel. In another news, I will not be here for a week. Next week. Which means there may be some filler videos appearing on my channel. I'm not sure if that's going to be gameplay videos or maybe just short stories. I'll see what I can do. What I can promise though is that I will record some IRL videos from that trip. So if you wanted that, here you go. And the last piece of news is not really news, because I've already said on my channel that my P.O. box is open and we've got our first entry. Ladies and gentlemen, the first piece of fan mail is in. I technically already got another thing in the mail, but it wasn't really from a fan, as far as I know, even though that person is a fan. But I'll reveal what that was later on. Not in this video, but on my channel. I actually woke Eddie. What the heck? That's a 3D printed something. You can't really see it. I don't even know what it is yet. What the heck? I'm perfectly aware that I'm gonna have to clean all this. What the heck? Oh my god. I got a 3D printed Rise? Holy crap! That's so awesome! That's so cool! That is legit. That is so cool! That is so cool! Who is it from? That's so cool! It even has the word Rise. It may be mirrored actually, I don't know. So cool! It's the old one as well, so you know, he has the nostalgic triangle pizza feet, if it can even focus on that. Pizza feet! Ah, there's a letter. There's a letter. Hello, Necrit! I am a 16-year-old fan from Israel. I wanted to give you something in return for your amazing videos. It's a 3D printed model of Rise that my dad printed. I know how much you like his lore. Also, congrats on graduating from uni. That is so awesome. I don't know who said it. Hold on. I'm not awesome with Israel names. That's Rom, I guess that's first name? I guess? Is it like Rom and then I'm just gonna say K because I don't wanna, like, you know, tell everyone about your last name just in case they wanna, I don't know. It's the internet, it's safety above all. Thank you so much, I legitimately value this, you don't even know how much. This is just so cool, so cool. Alright, and now we're gonna get into the questions. Will you have a scheduled stream or just whenever you feel like it? I will have a schedule. Probably after I return from that business trip, I will make a schedule, probably at least one day a week. I'm trying to figure out from top of my head which day, probably Wednesday? Tuesday? Monday? Monday, Tuesday? Maybe Saturday. I'll see. One day per week, each week. Bandle City or the Void, which do you think should get lore first? At this point I think that Bandle City should go first. I think the Void should be the very last thing they update, because the Void will pretty much just like close the entire universe? The Pantheon? Not like the character Pantheon, but you know, it's not even religion, it's just universe. You know, the Void is like the building block for everything. So I hope they make that one the last one. Which champion are you most interested in seeing an update both lore and in-game? That would have to be Morgana and Kayle. Those two champions have some interesting interactions between them, but we still don't know where they are in the world. I am guessing they will bind them together with Targon and the Heavenly City, because, you know, supposedly there are angels, so that would make sense, but I am really interested in what they do with them and how Morgana and Kayle will interact with the other aspects after they are updated. Do you watch anime at all? What's your favorite if you do? I watch pretty much two animes, only two. Naruto, I am glad I watched that because I watched it when I was 9? You know, I watched it when I was a child and I basically grew up with that one. So I'm really glad that I was there for the entire life of that anime, from my childhood to basically being an adult. So I'm really glad I experienced that. The other anime that I watch is Attack on Titan. That's pretty much the only two. I don't really watch, you know, anything else because I mostly don't have time. I think I would like some of them if like someone showed me a good anime. I guess I could get into it easily, but I just don't really have the time. Who is your favorite champion in League of Legends? This includes lore, character model and gameplay. I noticed for me it changes a lot. I say Twisted Fate a lot, because Twisted Fate is the most relatable character in the story that has interesting background, and that pretty much stays the same till this day. If you mean champions that have some interesting lore, as in background interacting with the world, that would have to be Aurelion, definitely. I even like his gameplay. I like that he feels like he's this powerful, not really god, he's more of a creator, but you know, the circling stars and the fact that he can just fly over all the terrain, he really feels the way he should. The same thing counts for Jhin. He is supposed to be a murderer and a madman that is planning all his murders, and that's exactly what you do. You set up traps, you wait for the roots, and your ultimate is pretty much just sniping the right target. So Jhin, Aurelion and Twisted Fate, these three are probably my favorite. Although, these days, if you want to climb Elo with someone, I highly recommend Bard, because I became a Bard main. What champion do you think has the lore that aligns the least with their actual gameplay? If you talk about champions that have already updated lore, there are a couple of champions that have abilities that are not in the game, but they are in the story. Good example is Ahri. Ahri can actually manipulate your mind, she can dig in your memories, she can savor the memories, I guess, and she can manipulate your emotions. In game, the only thing we get is Charm, and Charm doesn't really show the fact that she can dig into your deepest memories and, you know, show you the worst memories. The other champion is Lux, because Lux actually has way more abilities than she has in game. In game, she uses the light basically to root you, which well, it doesn't really make sense. I don't know how light can physically root you, but maybe if she burns your feet. But she also uses it to just burn you straight away. So her E, her ult, it's all just damaging burning light. The thing is that if she was correct according to the lore, her shield would also make you invisible, because she is using the reflections of the light to hide herself. So whenever she did something wrong with her light and she didn't want anyone to find out, she just reflected the light, she made herself invisible. That ability is not in the game and it totally should. If her shield made you invisible and your ally, that would be OP, but that would be the correct way to go. What do you think will be the best place to make a movie or series about League of Legends? That would have to be Piltover or Zone. That is if you want to get into the real stuff, you know what I mean. It's like the real life, everyday life. Piltover and Zone are basically the closest we can get to our world, but with all the grim technology. But if you wanna go more with the fantasy side of League of Legends, I would go with Noxus and Demacia. Just the basic concept of the mages against the knights would be really awesome for a movie. What is your favorite region in sense of lore and culture they are based off? How and why did you start being our lore lord? The first question is easy. I would definitely go with either Ionia or the Blessed Isles before they were the Shadow Isles. Not because I would be a huge fan of the Asian style, but because I like this spiritual and shadowy magics colliding and all that weird stuff. There is basically a lot of depth to that world, or to that area, if you really look into it. The second question actually hasn't been answered on my channel before. Back in Season 2 I used to do guides on how to counter certain champions, because I realized that on YouTube a lot of people are doing guides on how to play champions, but not how to play against them. So for me that was basically the thing where I could start. I could start making videos about things that no one else has done. But as Season 3 arrived and Riot started focusing on rewarding players that played one champion instead of playing multiple champions just to counter their enemy, that was really the turning point for my channel, because I suddenly couldn't make guides on how to counter champions because no one would be interested in that. So I started looking into new ideas for my videos, and the things that stuck most to me were somewhat of a trivia style videos. And one of those trivia videos was Kindred's Lore Explained. That was pretty much the video that kicked all my lore videos that went after that. If Riot employed you to be a lore developer, would you accept their offer? There is a problem with that. I would love to do this as a job, but I would have to leave everything behind. I don't think I would be able to just travel to America just for work, because I would have to leave everyone behind, and I would not be able to do that. Now I'll ask it as an actual question. Personally, I couldn't care less, but many try to know. How long is your deck? Well, why didn't you ask earlier? It's about 9.5 centimeters. If I create a Runeterra based D&D campaign for you, where would your character start or begin their adventure? I would probably like to start in Freljord. This question is an obvious reference to a previous discussion we had over at our Discord channel, which you should totally join. I've never played D&D before, but if I had the chance to start a D&D campaign, I would love to start in Freljord, because Freljord has all the trolls and all the frost traps, and you know, it's a really good RPG environment. Will you ever do Overwatch lore videos? I'm not quite sure, but there is the second channel, who knows what that will be used for? When do you think Riot will release the big Targon vs Void lore event? Unfortunately, I don't think it will be this year. I think it will be next year, because apparently there is another event coming later this year, which means around October, November, maybe December. What's your favorite video game genre? That would be RPGs. When's that Know Your Lore with Bricky coming? Man, spoilers. If you were to invent a new character, what would they be like? I actually have a character in my mind, and I've had it in my mind for about a year now. I would love to see a character on the same level as Aurelian, meaning he is somewhat of a god or a creator, but he has the physical appearance of a human. My image is that he would be a galactic walker, something like a monk, but you know, he's entirely created of stars. The lore behind that would be that he would be the one who places humans around the galaxy. That's why humans have that appearance, because he is basically creating them in his image. If I had to bind him into the gameplay as well, I would do one special thing. He would have no auto attacks at all. He could only cast abilities, which would be like quick strikes, as if he was a monk, because if you do that, if he has no auto attacks that would strike automatically, he would feel more like a Street Fighter character, if you only press buttons to make combos, if that makes sense. So that's my character. Which champion do you want a lore rework for the most, and how do you want their new lore to be? I already answered that. That would be Morgana and Kayle. I want them to be inside Targon, somehow. If a League champion would be your best friend, who would it be and reason why? That would be Gragas, because he's normal and he's not crazy and he wouldn't want to kill me. Have you ever met a Riot employee? Yes, I have. A couple of years ago I met the Czech staff of Riot that are, you know, they are based in Dublin, not in LA, but actually back then they had no idea who I was, and I don't blame them, because when I met them I had like 12,000 subscribers and no one really knew what I did. This was during the time when I was looking for the new video ideas, so I really don't blame them that they had no idea, because no one did. What do you think is gonna happen to Noxus theme-wise with the update? 3 things can happen. Number 1, we'll get a Noxus against Demacia, which is highly unlikely, I don't think that will happen. Number 2 is that we'll get Noxus against Ionia, I don't think that will happen either, even though, you know, Kane is kinda pointing at it. And number 3 is that we will get Noxus against Piltover, and I think that is going to happen, because the Piltover update kinda showed us that Noxus is trying to invade them and they are trying to overtake their cities, and with the recent Urgot update, we will definitely see some zone interactions with Noxus, so it's highly likely that Noxus will have some interactions with Piltover and Zone in the update. Where is the best place in Valorant, would you say, is to crack open a cold one with the boys? You can't really go colder than Freljord, can you? Do you play any other games than League? Yes, I do. I'm a gamer, so I play everything. I play Overwatch, I play World of Warcraft, I am still raiding the Tomb of Sargeras, I also play Zelda, Breath of the Wild, I sunk a lot of hours into it, and I don't think I'll stop in the near future. And that is it for the questions and for this video. I hope you enjoyed this, because I certainly don't have that much time to work on my videos, because I am packing stuff and I'll be leaving, and hopefully it won't be that devastating for my channel. But when I come back from that trip, things will happen. A lot of things, great things. I realize I'm sounding like a politician of a certain type, but you know, thank you for being here. I really appreciate your support, I really mean it, I can tell it into your eyes, and you know, thank you for being here, and I guess as always, thank you, come again. Now where will you fit? Perfect.